Hi, I'm Devin from Careerified. Welcome back to my home office. This week I wanted to talk a little bit about first resumes. I know the economy's a mess, but you may have a kid in your house who is starting to look for a first part-time job, which they are out there, or they might be looking forward to a co-op position. I don't know if that's possible in the winter or even next summer. But either way, if they're getting to be sort of that 15, 16, 17 age, it's a good time to pull together a first resume. Now, the challenge, of course, is if they've never had a job before, there's definitely a feeling of, I have nothing to offer. So I wanted to share some tips today on what to do, how to approach that first resume, and what can go into it. Okay, so first section you're going to create is skills. Now, for your kid, this is mainly going to be transferable skills or soft skills, as we often hear them referred to. And there's a couple of places they can look for hints on these because they will have developed a lot simply just by going to school. So one is to check a course syllabus. So if they still have stuff from previous years or previous semesters, that will give them an indicator of what skills did you learn in this course? And that may be anything from research to verbal and written communication to organization to working in groups, you name it. Another place to look for ideas here is past report cards. So have their teachers commented on their ability to work well in groups, to communicate effectively, to stay on task and stay focused, whatever kind of thing you can think of. That would be really helpful for the workplace. Those are things you can use in a resume. The next section will be an education section, which is pretty easy. Even if you've opted for online learning this year or you're part of a learning pod or something like that, your kids are still attached to the high school that they enrolled in or were meant to enroll in. So that school should be listed as well as, starting date to present, and then include anything else that's relevant. So for some kids, this might be extracurriculars. Obviously not a lot of choice this year. I can't think of too many things that would be running at school, but anything they've done in the past will be just fine. They can include that. The other thing to think about here is your kid's average. So if they get like really stellar grades, include their average. They should include their average. But if they don't and they say nothing, most employers will never notice. And that's something I always find kind of funny. It's like a Jedi mind trick. You see it if it's there, but you don't even notice if it's not. So that's something they can include as well. Now, another section to consider is volunteering. I know people get really hung up on, it was just a volunteer job. I didn't get paid, so it didn't count. Nonsense. If you performed some task, whether you got paid or not to do that task doesn't change the fact that you did it and you gained some experience and hopefully some knowledge and skill out of it. So if your kid was, maybe reading buddies with kindergarten kids when they were in grade 8, that counts. If they helped to deliver groceries throughout the pandemic, that counts. If they help grandma and her friends with their laundry, that counts. Whether or not you're paid to do it, you want to think about what skills did you develop from that, or what did you need to be able to do effectively to be good at that or to make it work, and how might that apply to the job you're going after? That's the conversation you want to have with your kids there. A last section you're going to want to consider is hobbies and interests. Not something I would always recommend for someone who's sort of mid-level in their career or a little bit more advanced. But for a first-timer, that's a great place to give the employer more information about who you are, as well as to talk more about transferable skills and developing them in different areas outside of school. Even solo ventures, things like art or writing or swimming, things where you're not necessarily, active in the community, but you're doing a thing, that still demonstrates things like discipline and dedication. It still demonstrates a commitment to growth and development. It demonstrates patience, perseverance. There are some really great skills and qualities that come out of really any kind of personal achievement. So those are things your kids can think about as well and that they can include in a resume. So if you do have a kid who is working on a first resume right now, the tip here generally is they probably have a lot more to offer than they think they do. And it's really a matter of figuring out how to communicate that effectively to the potential employer they're looking at. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you back here next week for a new tip. You take good care.